and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace be us, and peace be unto us, and to all beings everywhere. May the whole universe be pervaded by peace. So, studying the life of Holy Mother, a blessed task indeed. We are now in the subhead, Pilgrimage to Puri. Those of you who don't already know about this will find this fascinating, the things that happened to Mother on this pilgrimage to Puri. In November 1904, Holy Mother and some companions went on pilgrimage to Puri by train. Her party included her uncle Nirmadev, is that right?
Nil Madhav.
Nilmadev, okay.
Yes.
Surabalu, Radhu, Lakshmi, Gopal Ma, M's wife, Chulilal's wife, Kusum, Swami Premananda, her attendant, Ashu, Swami Premananda, her attendant Ashu, Trigunatitananda's brother, and a servant. Quite a big party. A second-class car was reserved for the mother and her female companions. The three men went by interclass car. The distance from Calcutta to Puri is 300 miles. Holy Mother and her companions boarded the train in the evening and reached Puri the next morning. Most of the party stayed in Kshetarvasi's Mat, a guest house, Kshetravasi's Mat, a guest house owned by Balaram's family that was near the Jagannath Temple. Premananda stayed in Shashi Niketan near the sea. When Holy Mother arrived in Puri, she went straight to see Lord Jagannath in his inner sanctuary. Now, everybody listen up. This is really quite remarkable. When Holy Mother arrived in Puri, she went straight to see Lord Jagannath in his inner sanctuary, as arranged by Balaram's family. They were wealthy and influential people in Orissa. Every morning, Holy Mother and her party visited the deity, and they also attended the evening Vesper service regularly. As she wished to hear of the glory and history of Lord Jagannath, a priest came one day to read to her from an ancient scripture. On this occasion, the Mahaprasad, cooked food that had been offered to Jagannath, was purchased from the temple stall, and 50 priests were fed. The mother ate Jagannath's Mahaprasad every day in Puri. In Puri, the mother developed an abscess on her foot. She suffered terribly, but would not consent to surgery. One day in the temple, someone pressed against her abscess, and she cried out in pain. When Premananda learned of this, he brought a doctor the next day. The devotees bowed down to her that day as usual, and she sat with her face veiled, as was her custom. The doctor also bowed down to her, holding his lancet ready. When he touched her foot, he quickly pierced the abscess with the lancet and left, saying, "Mother, please forgive me for my offense." Premananda was waiting outside. Holy Mother was very upset and scolded Ashu when he pressed the abscess to clear it out. You see, even the Mother of the universe can be obstinate and difficult to deal with when they're in ill health. You know, this is, she scolded Ashu when he pressed the abscess to clear it out. However, this relieved the mother's pain immensely. Ashu washed the wound with a solution of margosa leaf and bandaged it. After a few days of care, she was fully cured. She then heartily blessed her sons. So, you know, the mother could be difficult in this way. She was difficult in her last days also. We'll find out. Holy Mother wanted to show her mother and her brother Kalikumar the holy city of Puri. So one day she secretly sent Ashu to Jairambati to bring them. She did not want Surabala to know of this because she was very possessive and quarrelsome. It upset her when Holy Mother paid attention to her brothers and their wives. Ashu traveled to Jairambati via Vishnupur and conveyed the mother's wishes to Shamasundari and Kalikumar. Both were elated and prepared to start the following day. Kalikumar hired 2 bullock carts to bring his wife, 2 sons, and father-in-law, Sitaram, a villager, and his father-in-law. Sitaram, a village, asked Shamasundari if he could go with her on this pilgrimage, and she agreed. The group reached Puri the following day. When Surabala saw all the people, she was angry at Holy Mother, but the mother said, "Shall I live with you alone? Are they not my own relatives? I have brought you here, and shall I not bring my elderly mother?" Kalikumar and his group visited Lord Jagannath and other important temples and returned to Jairambati after a few days. Shamasundari, this is for those of you who don't readily know the name, that's Holy Mother's mother. Shamasundari stayed with Holy Mother. After Holy Mother recuperated from the abscess, her health improved. She bathed twice in the sea, regularly circumambulated the Jagannath Temple, and visited the important places of Puri, the vast kitchen of Lord Jagannath, the Gundicha house of Jagannath. Did I say that right? Gundicha house of good Jagannath, and Lakshmi Jala paddy field. Narendra Lake, the Govardhan monastery of Shankara, Swargadwar on the sea, and so on. Holy Mother was in a wonderful mood, and she related many stories of the old days to her companions. Now, when of the old days, she meant when she was the mother at the time that the Jagannath Temple was built and so on and so forth. This is what the old days, also her early life, but she also had some experiences at the Jagannath Temple and was quite taken with the. I don't remember if this is where she said the words, "Oh, it is just as it was then." Anyway, she and her party returned to Calcutta in late January 1905. And after a few days there, Shamasundari returned to Jairambati. So I was, though that's a remarkable story, it isn't the story that I was expecting to read. And we'll get to that story later, no doubt. So now the subhead is with the relatives. Holy Mother was very fond of her uncle Nirmadev and treated him as she would her own father. When devotees offered her expensive, out-of-season fruits, she gave them to her uncle. If her attendant protested against this excessive kindness, she would say, "Uncle has only a little while to live. Let him fulfill all his desires. We shall live a long time and will have many opportunities to enjoy these things." Nilmadev suffered from asthma from time to time, and in March 1905, after returning from Puri, he became bedridden. Despite treatment by several doctors and Holy Mother's devoted care, Nilmadev's illness became critical. Ashu and a woman devotee nursed him on his last day. On that day, Holy Mother finished her worship and rushed to her uncle's sickbed. She wanted to stay by his side and refused to eat her midday meal. Ashu told her that death was not imminent and persuaded her to leave her to have her meal. Ashu told her that death was not imminent and persuaded her to have her meal. Holy Mother hurriedly finished her meal and returned to her uncle, but there she saw sadness on the attendants' faces. Startled, she asked, "Is he then no more?" They remained silent. In a voice shaking with grief and anger, she said, "Why did you send me away to eat that trash? I could not see him in his last moments." She wept loudly as if she had lost her own father. When we think of the mother, and we think of her, as was said of her, living in this elevated state of consciousness, it may seem to us very strange that she reacted so emotionally to these things. But the Mother of the Universe loves each of us. And the saints tell us that the Lord weeps for us. We are told by Sri Ramakrishna to weep for God. The saints, particularly in that book, Love Poems from God, these saints say that God weeps for us. So when we read, she wept loudly as if she had lost her own father, that's no surprise. She then went to the shrine to get 2 flowers that had been offered to the master. She placed those flowers on her uncle's head and chest and repeated a mantra to pray for the peace of his soul. Nilmadev's body was carried to Kashimitra's Ghat on the bank of the Ganges to be cremated. Prasanna performed the last rites, and according to custom, on the 4th day after his death, Holy Mother fed those who carried her uncle's body and gave a cloth to each of them. Those of you who are of Indian heritage, you'll know of this. Is this the Shraddha ceremony? Haima nodded her head, yes.
Oh, I'm here, Brother Shankara.
Yes? So you nodded your head, yes. This is the Shraddha ceremony.
Shraddha ceremony, yes.
Holy Mother's brother, Prasanna, lived in a cheap rented house with a tiled roof in Simla Street in central Calcutta. Shortly after Radu's birth in January 1900, he married his elder daughter, Nalini, to Pramatta Nath Bhattacharya of Goghat, Hooghly. Prasanna then brought his wife, Ramapriya, his new son-in-law, and his two daughters, Nalini and Maku, to his Calcutta residence. Soon after their arrival, Pramatta became very ill with a fever and cough. Holy Mother was concerned and sent Ashu to look after him. She also visited Pramatta frequently. Ashu knew a young doctor and brought him to examine the patient. He diagnosed the disease as double pneumonia and provided medicine that cured Pramatta within a few days. Now, the reason the distinction is made a young doctor, the young doctors were learning the more modern medicine. And so this is why this is made a point of, that it was a young doctor. And he diagnosed it as double pneumonia and provided a medicine that cured Pramatta within a few days. It so happened that this young doctor had been betrayed by his wife. As a result, he used alcohol and drugs heavily. He confided his problem to his friend Ashu and said that he was planning to kill himself. Soon after this, M visited Holy Mother and some other devotees. Soon after this, M invited Holy Mother and some other devotees to his Jamapukur house for a festival. Holy Mother performed the worship in M's shrine. Meanwhile, Ashu visited his doctor friend who lived nearby and said to him, "Please come with me." Without knowing where he was going, the doctor followed Ashu, wearing his casual clothing. On the way, Ashu told him, "I told you previously, if you received initiation from Holy Mother, your mental agony would go away." "But I have already eaten my food," said the doctor. Ashu said, "The mother will decide about it." Ashu took his friend. Now notice the love here, the love and devotion to his friend. Just such a sweet thing. He's trying to save the man's life. Ashu took his friend to M's house and asked him to wait downstairs. He went to Holy Mother, who was still in the shrine, and requested her to give his friend initiation. The mother agreed and said that the doctor should immediately come to the shrine. After receiving initiation, the doctor felt tremendous peace, and his face beamed with joy. Thus, Holy Mother changed this young doctor's life. Later, in 1906 or 1907, this doctor helped with the relief work of the Ramakrishna Mission in East Bengal and treated many devotees without charge. When Holy Mother was living at 2/1 Bagbazar Street, she was taken by horse carriage to various places for sightseeing. One day in April 1905, Ashu took her to the studio of B. Datta on Chittipur Road and arranged to have some photographs taken. A group picture was taken with Holy Mother, Lakshmi, Nalini, Radhu, and others. Sometime during the next month, Swami Virajananda arranged to have a picture of Holy Mother taken at the studio of Van Dyke Company on Chowringhee Road, now Jawaharlal Nehru Road. So this explains some of the pictures that we have of Holy Mother. The subhead is, well, let's just pause here for a moment and see if there's any comments or questions about this, about what we've read so far, about the Puri experience, about these experiences with the devotees and the young doctor. Any comments or questions?
That is so nice, Brother Shankara, that a young doctor's alcohol and using the drugs was cured by her initiation. That is really amazing. How quickly he turned himself around with mother's initiation.
Well,
That's so.
such is the power of the Mother of the Universe.
I think,
Nothing is impossible for her. It said she makes the impossible possible and the possible impossible.
yes,
That's what's said of her. So though it's gratifying to us, it shouldn't really come as much of a surprise.
yes.
But you're right, it is very sweet and gratifying that such a thing happened.
Brother Shankara,
Yes, Sham.
I have one question.
Yes.
Why did Holy Mother had to suffer through that excess and things like that?
The
When
abscess and
she,
so on. Well, what Sri Ramakrishna said is that illness is the taxes we pay for having a body. And Holy Mother said, Sri Ramakrishna also said it, and Vivekananda said it, but Holy Mother said it very poignantly. And because someone was talking about Sri Ramakrishna breaking his arm and other things that happened to him, she said, look, when the divine being takes human form, they become subject to all of the things that the human form is subject to, without exception. And so Holy Mother had many periods of illness, some very serious. I mean, this abscess was painful, but it could have become serious if let go. It could have been blood. It could have become blood disease and so on. And any infection can become that if left to go. So Premananda and Ashu were right to do what they did. Of course. But Holy Mother was very clear that the divine person, and I say the divine person because though they seem to be two, Holy Mother and Sri Ramakrishna, both of them said, no, we are not two, we are one. The divine person that took these two forms for the purposes of the divine person, the divine being. So it should, in that context, Sham, it should come as no surprise to us. And notice that she was also capable of the kind of obstinacy that many of us are capable of in the face of illness. When I got ill this spring, having to do with the changes that were going on with the remodeling of the kitchen and so on, I behaved kind of stupidly at some point, and it was costly. It made things more difficult. So I'm just saying that an ordinary person like myself, Holy Mother said that when the divine person takes human form, they become liable to these same things that an ordinary person like myself is prey to, both the illness and the obstinacy. So there seems to be no way out of it when we take human form.
thank you. Thank you.
Yes, St. John of the Cross said, and he said this in a short poem, he said, it is God who should ask our forgiveness, not we him. A saint could explain.
Brother,
Anything else from anyone?
yeah, Brother Shankara,
Yes, Swayam.
are there any special or hidden messages around the way she grieved over her uncle's death?
I don't think there's anything mysterious about it, dear. I think it's just exactly as I said. She feels this love for all of us, but she had a particular affection for her uncle. It's said she felt toward him as she did her own father. So how unhappy it is to lose him, and particularly because she had been persuaded that death was not imminent, and so she went away to take her meal. You know, she allowed herself to be persuaded, and then when she came back, she wasn't with him in his last moments. Now, there may be something special about that, that that if she had been with him in his last moments, in his physical presence, or him in her physical presence, there might have been some slight difference. But that would be just speculation on my part. No, I can't say anything definitive about that.
Thank you, Brother Shankara.
But her emotional response, I think, was completely genuine, and there's nothing mysterious about it. Just as you might just absolutely lose your composure entirely if you lost someone very dear to you, as you may have.
Maybe if he had not left, he probably would not have died peacefully. So she had to leave so that he could
Well,
leave the body.
there's another good speculation. You know, who knows? Death is very mysterious. That in itself. You know, Yama's work with us is very mysterious indeed. So anything else before we go on? Okay. Lalit Mohan Chattopadhyay, the mother's heroic devotee. During this period, Lalit Mohan Chattopadhyay, a wealthy man who held an important position at the Dickinson Company. Now, I don't know anything about this. Does anyone know why Dickinson Company is particularly mentioned here? Not just an important position at a company, but the Dickinson Company. Well, we may find out why it's mentioned. A wealthy man who held an important position at the Dickinson Company became a devotee of Holy Mother. One day he arranged a festival in his house on, somebody say that word, something Lane, and invited Dr. Kunilal, and some devotees of the Master and Mother. On that occasion, Holy Mother initiated him and his wife, Sarada Devi, in his shrine. Lalit had his own carriage, which he placed at Holy Mother's disposal. Now, this was a very sweet thing to do. He didn't just reserve it for himself. Lalit had his own carriage, which he placed at Holy Mother's disposal. The mother used his carriage whenever she needed it. When gramophones first became available in Calcutta, can you imagine? This was early in the 1900s. When gramophones first became available in Calcutta, Lalit bought one and played it for Holy Mother. She and her companions enjoyed hearing kirtan and other songs played on the machine. I wish we had some direct remarks from the mother about that. She must have been, this was, Sri Ramakrishna said she was an embodiment, an incarnation of Saraswati. So, this mechanical invention comes as a result of her being present in the world with us. A way of being able to take music anywhere. Now, of course, we have these incredible little things like this that make it even more so. So when gramophones first became available in Calcutta, Lalit bought one and played it for Holy Mother. She and her companions enjoyed hearing kirtan and other songs played on the machine. Lalit was a heroic devotee and a great benefactor of the Ramakrishna mission. He had a mustache like the German Kaiser. Oh, I hope you all know what that means. This is quite a magnificent mustache and sideburns and so on. You can hold in your mind a picture of the German Kaiser, the one who helped start World War I. Lalit had a mustache like the German Kaiser, so Swami Brahmananda used to call him Kaiser. Whenever Holy Mother had a problem, Lalit was there to take care of it. And whenever she was ill, Dr. Kunling, is it Kunjila? Kunijla?
See, but Kanjilal.
Kanjila. Whenever she was ill,
Yeah.
Dr. Kanjilad would rush to look after her. When these two visited Jairambati, the mother cooked for them and tried to make their lives comfortable there. Now, these were both wealthy men, Once Lalit was seriously ill and had several famous doctors, and several famous doctors were treating him. Every day, Holy Mother sent Ashu for no news of Lalit's condition. When his condition became critical, Prasadi rushed to Holy Mother and asked her to bless her dying husband. Holy Mother told Ashu, take this offered flower and put it on his head. Tell him that he will be cured soon. Ask him to have Ayurvedic treatment. Ask him to have Ayurvedic treatment. I am offering Tulsi, holy basil, every day to the master for him. Lalit came around. Now, he was critically ill at the point of death, apparently. Lalit came around after taking the Ayurvedic treatment, but the mother said, it's due to Prasadi's virtue that Lalit got back his life this time. I can't bear to hear Prasadi's pitiful cries. What does Sri Ramakrishna say to us over and over? Weep to the Lord. What did Jesus say? Ask and ye shall receive. It's for us to take these things so deeply seriously. Prasadi's virtue was, when Holy Mother says virtue, that means there was no hypocrisy in her. Whatever she did was strictly, their heart and her lips and her actions were all the same. Mother said, it is due to Prasadi's virtue that Lalit got back his life this time. I can't bear to hear Prasadi's pitiful cries. On 19 December 1909, Holy Mother told Arupananda, Lalit has given me much financial help. He takes me out in his carriage. He regularly sends money for worship services in Dakshineshwar and Kamarpukur. My Lalit has a heart worth 1,000,000 rupees. There are many who are miserly despite their wealth. So I'm going to read that again. On 19 December 1909, Holy Mother told Arupananda, Lalit has given me much financial help. He takes me out in his carriage. He regularly sends money for worship services in Dakshineshwar and Kamarpukur. My Lalit has a heart worth 1,000,000 rupees. There are many who are miserly despite their wealth. Now, if ever there was instruction to those who have means, there it is. When Thakur says we must propitiate the Mother of the universe, this is not some chance remark. And it's not barter, it's not commercial, it's not that at all. If Lalit's generosity had not come from his heart, if it hadn't been sincere, it wouldn't have meant a thing. It would not have meant a thing. Because what he did, this is why the mother said, my Lalit has a heart worth 1,000,000 rupees.
Mm-hmm.
So what is our task? Each of us, all of us. Our task is to make our heart that sincere, that pure. And banish self-centeredness, which shows up as miserliness. Banish it. That's our task if we want this sweet relationship with universe and the benefits of that relationship in terms of our freedom. And the thing is, as I said, it's not an exchange. When you change, when you become that way, the freedom simply emerges, having been uncovered. It was covered by self-centeredness and egoism. And so when it's uncovered, then we are free. Any comments or questions about any of that?
Brother Shankara, you talked about Dickinson Company. Lalit Mohan was a wealthy man, and Dickinson Company is a world-class manufacturing company in India in those times. It manufactured over 1 million medical devices of class 2, and that's what it says.
My.
Yeah, so he's a very wealthy man with a very kind heart and generous heart.
Well, thank you very much for looking up what Dickinson Company was.
Yes,
It satisfied my curiosity.
exactly.
So
Yes.
they produced medical devices.
Yes, and he seems like a wonderfully generous
Yes.
That's wonderful to know that.
A story of Padma Binod. Binod Bihari Sun. How is that pronounced? Is it S-O-N? S-O-M, Som. Binod Bihari Som was a student at M's school. He had visited Ramakrishna a few times and received the master's blessings, which that's life transforming all by itself. So Binod had visited Ramakrishna a few times and received the master's blessings. His home was on that street in Bagh Bazaar, close to Holy Mother's residence. He is known to the devotees as Padma Binod. In his youth, he joined the theater and became a famous actor. Over time, however, he became an alcoholic and had financial difficulties. Sometimes he visited Swami Saradananda, to whom he called Dosta, or friend. On his way home late one night after a performance, the drunk Padma Binod knocked at Saradananda's window, calling out, "Dosta, Dosta." The Swami did not respond, and he asked others to keep quiet. Holy Mother lived upstairs, and Saradananda did not want her sleep to be disturbed. After calling a few times, Padma Binod said, "Dosta, I came and called you and you did not respond." He then left. Another night, Padma Binod, drunk, came again. When no one answered his call, he started to sing to Holy Mother in a plaintive voice. Oh, this is such a touching story. Another night, Padma Binod, drunk, came again. When no one answered his call, he started to sing to Holy Mother in a plaintive voice. "Waken, Mother, throw open your door. I cannot find my way through the dark. My heart is afraid. How often I have called out your name. Yet, kind Mother, how strangely you are acting today. Soundly you are sleeping in your room, leaving your poor child alone outside. I am all skin and bones from crying. Mother, oh Mother." With proper tone, pitch, and mode, using all the three gamuts, I call so loud, and still you sleep on. I am all skin and bones from crying, Mother, oh Mother. With proper tone, pitch, and mode, using all the three gamuts, I call so loud, and still you sleep on. Is it because I was lost in play that you shun me now? Look on me kindly, and I shall not go playing again. To whom can I run, leaving your side? Who but my mother will bear the load of this wretched child? As Padma Binod sang in the street with all his soul, Holy Mother opened one of her windows. When Sardananda heard the shutters open, he said, "Ah, he broke the mother's sleep." Holy Mother looked down at Padma Binod. He said, "Mother, you have gotten up. You have finally heard your child's call. Now please accept my salutation." Saying so, he rolled on the street and put the dust on his head. Sardananda and Ashu watched him through a shutter. As he walked away, Padma Binod began to sing another song. Cherish my precious mother Shama tenderly cherish my precious mother Shama tenderly within, O mine. May you and I alone behold her, letting no one else intrude. With emphasis, he improvised a new line, and surely not my dosta, referring to Saradananda. Let no one else intrude, and surely not my dosta, referring to Saradananda. The next day, Holy Mother asked about him and was told his story. Did you notice his firm conviction, she remarked? Isn't it amazing? He was such a skilled actor and singer that even if he was drunk, he could sing in this way. Padma Binod came again another night. When Holy Mother heard him call out, she opened her window. Seeing her from the street, Padma Binod sang the following song, O Mother Shama, you have cremation grounds, so I made my heart a cremation ground and you dance there. O Mother Shama. Now Shama is the fierce form of mother that is in the creation grounds. O Mother Shama, you love cremation grounds. O Mother Shama, you love cremation grounds. So I made my heart a cremation ground, and you dance there. The blazing fire of a funeral pyre is burning day and night, and all my desires of the heart are burnt to ashes. Now do thou reveal yourself unto me. Mother, you have put Lord Shiva under your feet. I want to see your rhythmic dance. So this is about dying the death of self-effacement before you die physically. Such a beautiful song. The next morning, Ashu told Holy Mother, he is disturbing your sleep. She replied, it's all right, my son. I cannot contain myself when he calls on me in that way. Again, this is instruction to us. This is instruction to us. We may not be drunk with alcohol, but we're drunk with ignorance. We're drunk with the feeling that we're in control, that we're the doer, all the delusion. So call on Mother in that way and practice that self-effacement. Practice that. I'm going to read that song again. O Mother Shama, you love cremation grounds. So I made my heart a cremation ground, and you dance there. The blazing fire of a funeral pyre is burning day and night, and all my desires of the heart are burnt to ashes. Now do thou reveal yourself unto me. Mother, you have put Lord Shiva under your feet. I want to see your rhythmic dance. The next morning, Ashu told Holy Mother, he is disturbing your sleep. She replied, it's all right, my son. I cannot contain myself when he calls on me in that way. Padma Binod stopped coming soon after. Some days later, his young son came to tell Saradananda that Padma Binod was seriously ill. The Swami arranged for his treatment. Padma Binod was suffering from dropsy. So Dr. Basu tapped and removed some water from his belly. This treatment was not helpful. So Padma Binod was sent to
Shambhunath.
Shambhunath Pandit Hospital in South Calcutta, where an English doctor performed surgery. The doctor lost hope when he found Padma Binod's intestines had become septic as a result of his alcoholism. Padma Binod asked Ashu, who was attending him, to read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna to him. Ashu opened the book at random. Oh, we hear this. There's no such thing as opening a book at random. We call it coincidence or some such thing, but it's not that at all. Ashu opened the book at random and began to read where Padma Binod's name was mentioned. As Padma Binod listened, tears trickled from his eyes. Just after 1 a.m., repeating the name of the Master, he breathed his last. His friends and relatives carried his body to the cremation ground in South Calcutta. At noon, Ashu returned to Holy Mother's residence and reported everything to her. The mother remarked, "Why should it not be like that? Surely he was a child of the Master. No doubt. He covered himself with mud, but now he has gone back to the Master's arms where he belongs." Any comments or questions before we go on? It's just a little before 9 o'clock. We have 8 minutes left. Anything at all?
Well, namaste everybody. Namaste, Brother Shankara.
Hello, Shadow. Namaste.
You know, like you said, we are all drunk or intoxicated with doership. Similarly, I think that it's in this world, when we get involved with work and family and our desires and everything, with money, success, and whatever, and with especially with alcohol or something, intoxication, bad habits, which I see a lot nowadays. It destroys everything. He may have done some spiritual practice in previous lives, but it just took him away, you know. And if you look at the direct disciples or some other disciples, lay disciples of Thakur and others, they were also, some of them were successful, some of them were not so successful, but they had their own issues, but still they kept on their connection with Thakur and Mother and the spiritual practice. And what I see is that that's what we need to do, is with whatever we face, it may be success, it may be failures, it may be any issues, but our focus should be constantly and more practice and more connectivity. Others, you know, yes, there is Mother's grace here, and then she says he's gone back to Thakur, and that's very nice. But getting the best of our whatever life we have now is what I see we need to do and look at it.
Yes, absolutely. And the great curative is sincerity. Mother was impressed by Padma Lochan's sincerity, his firm conviction, as she called it. This, if we are sincere in this way, then we can look ourselves square in the face and say, this is where I'm blocking myself. There was a great student of spirituality and religion. You can still find his talks online. His name was Alan Watts. Alan Watts. He was on the radio for many, many years with his talks. He died of alcoholism also. And his autobiography is titled In My Own Way, which is a wonderful pun. He did things his own way, in my own way, but he was also in his own way. So you're absolutely right, Shailesh. We must practice, we must develop that relationship with the divine. But more than anything, we must be sincere with ourselves, with others. Sri Ramakrishna said, this is such a great secret. Make the lips and the heart the same. So thank you, Shailesh. That was well said.
I'm reading They Lived with God, where I just finished Life of Swamiji, and I'm reading Life of Swami Brahmananda. And one more thing I would like to add, and Swamiji, when he came back and when they established the order, he was very, very particular about having discipline and regularity. And there were a lot of differences and love and affection and whatnot, among the direct disciples about that. But what I see is, and I've seen with my friends, some of them who are monks in the order now, several of them actually. And what I've seen is that the discipline they followed, and even now there is one of my friend who has his own ashram, and he's a great monk. He does a lot of work, and he's way up there. And he is so disciplined about his spiritual practices and meditation and everything. And I think that's what we also need to, that's what I'm saying it to myself, is that I need to follow meditation every single day, doing spiritual practice every single day. Or there may be few exceptions, but like Swamiji was so particular about every day getting up at 4 o'clock at Belur Math. And I know the Mahant, the President Maharaj from Pune Math, he was so strict about it, of getting up early morning and meditating. My God, he used to drive nuts to all the brahmacharis over there. But now I see that discipline can help so much.
Well, it's absolutely critically important if you have a spiritual organization, a monastic order, or of monks or nuns. There must be that regularity. Otherwise, everything becomes chaotic. You have to do things. We can follow that example. But we also can take a great lesson from the fact that Sri Ramakrishna and even some of the disciples now, some of the great Swamis now, they have a change of mood. They have a change of mood. And so the nature of their practice changes. We mustn't be rigid. We mustn't be rigid. That rigidity in itself becomes an obstacle because of pride. So we must be willing to recognize our change of mood, and not that we stop practicing, but the practice may change. The nature.
Yeah. I think in our case it will be like regularity. Like you can meditate at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, at 4 o'clock, whatever. But what I've seen is that if we meditate about an hour or 2 hours every day, it makes a big difference.
Oh, no
It can be
question.
anytime. Or spending time in nature, just going and sitting on the park bench. It provides a lot of,
Well, there are many
at least to
different
me,
kinds.
at least.
There are many different kinds of meditation.
Correct.
Many, many, many different kinds of being. The idea is to let yourself be drawn inward.
Correct. Yeah.
The
Completely.
treasure is within, not without. If we go sit in nature, we see that nature is perfectly harmonious.
Yeah. Still.
And so it is up to us to reflect that harmoniousness. What is that harmoniousness? Sattva. Sattva, the revealing power. And so we then are drawn within when we have that sense of sattva. Thank you, Shailesh. Anything else from anyone?
I want to ask one question.
Yes,
Was
Shah.
this Padma Vinod at the time of Thakur Ramakrishna? He was there?
Yes, it said that he was he had the master's blessings when the master was still alive. That's where this started.
Oh, okay.
If you go back to the beginning of this section on Padma Vinod,
Okay.
it said he had the master's blessings.
Okay. Thank you.
That was how it opened, and then it says he became an actor, and then so many people in that field. It's very easy to understand if you look at their lives. Their lives are this. What happens when you're a performer
Yeah.
is there's this intense relationship
Yes.
with the other performers and with the audience. It's not an ordinary experience at all.
Yes.
And then you go away from that. The performance ends. The curtain comes down. You take off the makeup and the costume. And what? Life seems pale. Life lacks that intensity. And so we find this with performers often, that they use alcohol and drugs as a way to fill that void. It's a mistake, of course. It's a mistake. But it's a very understandable one when you look at how their lives are. Many of the some of the greatest of the performers of the 1960s, they died of drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. Richard Burton was a very good actor, but he died alcoholism.
Yes, Richard Burton was one example. There were many. So it's up to us to be generous in our thinking about these things, not judgmental.
Okay.
Because if we're judgmental about them, we're going to be judgmental about ourselves. As a matter of fact, the judgmental business starts with ourselves and then projects outward. So it's best for us to be understanding and compassionate and try to realize what it is that we're seeing rather than hold it at arm's length with judgment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Anything else from anyone?
Shankara, there are wonderful people besides the alcoholism and drug addiction. There as people, they are really, really loving and caring people. Majority of them I have known. And they're just great people. It's just now science is telling that alcoholism is a brain disease. It's just not in their control. Even though they want to control, they're not able to control.
That's exactly what AA says.
Exactly.
The steps of AA start with I am powerless.
Yes. They really don't have the capacity anymore. That's why they struggle. They try to quit and then again they get back on it. But they're wonderful people besides that. They're loving, caring, intelligent, and brilliant people I have met with that, drug addiction and alcohol. And they're really, it's so sad. It's really sad. Like Padma Binod, look at the poetry he sang. I mean, it's so touching how beautifully he versed it. It's
Yes,
it's hard to imagine. That
and he did get the mother's attention.
yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Ima. Anything else before we close?
Brother, this is Ela. I have one question.
Yes, Ela.
So I basically have to ask you this, that it is very easy to get attached to the worldly stuff or the stuff which is in direct contact with us, but it's not so easy to get attached to the God. Like, you have to make a deliberate effort to think about God. So is it because we are not in a direct contact with the holy figure, or is there some other reason for that? I mean, it's so easy to get attached to all the stuff that we are in direct contact with, but since Ramakrishna Paramahansa or the mother is not there with us in the direct contact, and then we have to deliberately think of them. So is it because we don't have the holy company, or
You can, holy company is of course a great aid, but you can have holy company without being in the presence of physical presence of a holy person. This is why I so strongly recommend to people that book, Love Poems from God, because it's the testimony of 12 very holy people. So you can be in their company by reading their work. But Ela, the thing that works best is exactly what Sri Ramakrishna said. Let your heart be moved and weep for the desire for holiness. Weep for the desire for the sacred. Throw yourself down in front of a picture of Holy Mother, as Padma Vinod did. Throw yourself down, literally. Throw yourself on the floor in front of a picture of Holy Mother. Pound on the floor. Weep and say, Mother, awaken within me. I know the breeze of grace is always growing, is always blowing. I know the breeze of grace is always blowing. Help me, help me. And she said in more than one instance, in just the few sub-chapters that we read, that she cannot resist. She cannot hold herself. And it's so important for us to remember that Holy Mother said, and this wasn't just meant for the time during which she was physically present. She's with us in her subtle body. She said, when you are in distress, remember you have a mother. And can you not ask anything of your mother? Can you not ask anything of her? You can ask whatever you want. And if you want this sacred connection, if you want this help with divorcing yourself from the worldly, she is there for us. And the Master is there for us to unchain us and set us free. How great was thy sacrifice, freely choosing thy birth in this prison, our iron age, to unchain us and set us free. Perfect, whom lust could not taint, nor passion nor gold draw near. O Master of all who renounce, fill our hearts full of love for thee. So we start with, Master, I recognize all this. I recognize all this. Help me to renounce. Help me to renounce. Weep for it. It is our birthright.
Mhm.
It is our birthright. We are the divine, but
Mhm.
we are in this cage of flesh and bone because of the desire as the divine person. It is our desire to experience being many. This is not something that is imposed on us. No, no.
Mhm.
But the fact that this is Brahman's dream, Atman's dream, makes it very compelling, very powerful. And so we need to make an ally of that same power to overcome it. When Brahman said, I am one, I shall become many, as it says in the Chandogya Upanishad,
Mhm.
the dream began. And this is what Vashishta says. The dream began. Nothing really happened. It seems to us, as Shailesh said earlier, we get addicted to this idea of doership.
Mhm.
I'm the doer. No, no, no. You can go back and read chapter 3 of Gita. Krishna says, don't be fooled by this delusion. It's the gunas that are the doer. You are the witness. You are the witness. But that connection is elusive, as you pointed out, Ela.
Mhm.
Cry, weep.
Mhm.
And I strongly recommend to each one of us to have this book, Love Poems from God. Because here we see that here's what happens when we break through. And we won't be like them. We won't be like these 12 saints. No, no, no. Each of us is unique. We'll be how we are, not how they are. Each of them is unique. You read what they say and who they are. They're utterly unique.
Yeah.
So, dears, thank you, Ela, for that very, very poignant question.
Thank you for answering.
Weep, weep to the mother.
Yeah.
And constantly be in the company of the holy, at least by reading or going online and listening to Swami Sarvapriyananda, Swami Sarvadevananda, Swami Yogatmananda. All of these great souls are now so miraculously available to us at a moment's notice. We just go on YouTube, the YouTube search window, and put in Swami Sarvapriyananda. Boom! So many talks on so many different subjects. Swami Sarvadevananda. So many talks, so many different subjects. You just name the Swami from one of the centers.
Mhm.
You just go online and they're there. And so you can listen to them. Swayam listens to them a great deal.
Mhm.
Others probably as well.
Sure. Okay.
Haima raised her hand. So we don't, even though it's difficult now because of the virus to be physically in the presence of holy people, they're available to us. And really it all is in our heart. Anything else, dear ones?
Brother Shankara,
Yes, Swayam.
I was going to add that our regular sessions here with you is a holy company. I mean, whenever I feel, I just wait for the time to join, and then at the end of it, I feel so peaceful. And sure, all those YouTube videos of Swami, any of the Swamis are, we have access to that. An interesting thing I wanted to share was when we were in India last year, there is a temple in between Bangalore and Mysore. It's called Nimishamba Temple. It's on the banks of the river Kaveri. And Amba is another name for Divine Mother. And Nimisha in Tamil or some of the South Indian languages means minute. And so they said the reason that temple is named such is that if you think of the mother, she will come to your aid in a minute. So it's called Nimishamba.
Beautiful.
Thank you for sharing.
What Mother said to us is so powerful. When you are in distress, remember you have a mother.
And also, I know it's kind of late, but I do have a poem that is Saint Francis of Assisi's.
Please.
It's called The Holy Water. It's a little long poem. Do we have time for me to read it?
If people can go as they see fit, they can click off if they want.
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
It's titled The Holy Water. No one lives outside the walls of this sacred place, existence. The holy water, I need it upon my eyes. It is you, dear, you, each form. What mother would lose her infant? And we are that to God. Never lost from his gaze, are we? Every cry of the heart is attended by light's own arms. You cannot wander anywhere that will not aid you. Anything you can touch, God brought it into the classroom of your mind. Differences exist, but not in the city of love. Thus, my vows and yours, I know they are the same. I have just peeled the skin from the potato, and you are still contemplating its worth. Sweetheart, indeed, there are wonderful nutrients in all, for God made everything. You joined our community at birth. With your father being who he is, what do the world's scales know of your precious value? The priest and the prostitute, they weigh the same before the Son's immaculate being. But who can bear that truth and freedom? So a wise man adulterated the scriptures. Every wise man knows this. My soul's face has revealed its beauty to me. Why was it shy so long? Didn't it know how this made me suffer and weep? A different game he plays with his close ones. God tells us truths you would not believe. For most everyone needs to limit his compassion. Concepts of right and wrong preserve the golden seed until one of God's friends comes along and tends your body like a divine bride. The Holy sent out a surveyor to find the limits of its compassion and being. God knows a divine frustration Whenever he acts like that, for the infinite has no walls. Why not tease him about this? Why not accept the freedom of what it means for our Lord to see us as himself, to see us as himself? So magnificently sovereign is our lover. Never say, on the other side of this river, a different king rules. For how could that be? For nothing can oppose infinite strength. No one lives outside the walls of the sacred place, existence. The holy water my soul's brow needs is unity. Love opened my eye, and I was cleansed by the purity of each form.
Now, beautiful. And so, talk about synchronicity. That's the poem that my book is marked to for me to read tomorrow morning.
Oh,
It's true. When you announced the title, it just, Swayam was reading that book, reading from that book that I mentioned, Love Poems from God. It has a wonderful section on St. Francis of Assisi. It also has a wonderful section on Tukaram, on Kabir, on Hafiz, on Meister Eckhart, on Rabia. Anyway, it's holy company. It is holy company. This is the testimony of the saints. So you can find it online, very easy to find. Love Poems from God. The author or the translator and interpreter of these poems is Daniel Ladinsky, Ladinsky. Remember when they said that open the book at random, and I said there's no such thing as opening the book at random. The synchronicity of when you announced what you were going to read just swept me. Because it really is marked for that. That's the poem that I'm going to read in that book tomorrow morning.
I thought it fit in quite well with what we had been discussing.
Oh, absolutely it does. So thank you, Swayam. Thank you for those of you who stayed to listen. Anything else from anyone? All right. This from Sri Chaitanya. Chant the name of the Lord and his glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quenched that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, chanting his name continually, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy. How huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Om. Om Hari Om Tat Sat. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Durga, Durga, Durga. Go in Mother's loving and protective embrace. May you all be safe. May you all be healthy. May you all be cheerful in this dreadful time of transformation. So,
Good night, everybody.
You, Brother
good night
Shankara.
until next time, which would be, this is Wednesday, so Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. Next time we'll gather.
Brother Shankar, today's Tuesday.
Oh, today's,
Maybe tomorrow.
thank you.
Yeah.
There's Wednesday night's class. Yes, this is what happens when you're in your 79th year. You can't remember what day it is. So tomorrow night is Wednesday, where we study Jnana Yoga.
Yoga.
Then Saturday, where we study Realizing God. And then on Sunday, the talk will be the significance of mother worship according to Swami Swahananda.
Brother
Which is-
Shankara,
Hmm?
this Saturday is the Durga Puja, isn't it? Instead of Realizing God?
Is
At
today,
11?
will it be the 24th? No, I don't think it's
Oh,
the
it's the 24th. I'm sorry. Okay.
24th.
I thought it was the 17th.
Boy,
That's
how
when
do
it
you
starts.
really threw me for a minute, Catherine.
Well, I
I
threw
thought,
myself,
now I
obviously.
can't remember it's Wednesday. Now I can't remember it's the 24th.
No, that one's on me. I threw myself and you.
Right, okay.
Sorry.
Well,
Thank you.
but thank you indeed. Yeah, this Saturday will be Realizing God, and then Sunday, the significance of mother worship according to Swami Swahananda, who was a great devotee of the mother. His father was a disciple of Holy Mother. Swami Swahananda's father was a disciple of Holy Mother. So, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, until tomorrow night for those of you who decide to join us.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.